if you're getting followed by a car late at night and you can't tell whether it's a cop car at night, this is when they're in the Crown Vics. If the running lights were inside the headlights, that's one way you could tell it was a Crown Vic. Because most cars have the orange running lights on the outside, but the Crown Vics had it on the inside near the grill.
Okay.
So if you're going down the road, and you're probably a little bit too young for this, you know what I mean? But, you start to learn these tricks, I guess is what I'm getting at, of like how to identify a police officer, because the police officer is the enemy. When all you're doing is just trying to get to your buddy's house with a bag of weed so you guys can fucking smoke weed, watch Half Baked, and eat a bag of Cheetos. You know what I mean? But you have to know these things of like, that's what a cop car looks like. Maybe they're undercover. Maybe they're this or that, you know? And like the fact that we have to look at them as like this overseeing eye and not as somebody that wants to participate in the community and help the community to be better people. Like, and all you have to do to point to why they don't want that, and this is my larger point, is undercover what did I say? They're not undercover. They're unmarked cars. Right. It's all you need to do to point to that. That is not their mission to help people. Their mission is to catch people.
Exactly, because American police do not rule to, the old saying again, protect and serve. They rule with fear and as a threat. And you're exactly right when you say that how is trust ever supposed to be built between the public and the police if that's how they treat the public?
Right. Like we know you're doing something wrong, so we're just gonna hide out until we catch you doing it. Rather than being like, hey, we're here to help anybody who has something wrong, going on. Like, if you have a problem, come and let us know. Not we need to be out patrolling the roads to find the problems. And the most disgusting part is, how do they find the problems? Oh, you got a headlight out. Oh, you got a tail signal out. You know what I mean? Oh, you didn't have your seatbelt on. This is how they find the fucking problems.
There was one time when I was, back in the day when I was managing the gas station, there was some person got pulled over in our parking lot, and I was just, it is a slow night, so I'm standing outside smoking a cigarette, just watching what's going on. And as the pullover gets wrapped up and the dude who got pulled over pulls away, the cop is in his car and has to reverse to get out of the driveway. And I noticed that when he reversed, that one of his reverse lights was out. So before he got to pull out of the driveway, I knocked on his window and I leaned in. I'm just like, hey, man, just so you know, you got a reverse light out. You better be careful. You get pulled over for that. And he did not find that very funny.
Come on, he didn't find that. That shit's fucking hilarious. I don't care if he is a cop.
No, he mean mugged the shit out of me and he left.
Oh my god! I mean, I'm sure you're like being pretty sarcastic about it, but that shit is objectionably fucking like hilarious. Especially like you might get pulled over for that. Like that's fucking great,
Stool with Matt Nic.
So I broke down on Thursday in my work truck, and about as far away from the shop as I possibly could be. I was all the way out in Eau Claire, and all of a sudden I just started spraying power steering fluid all over the place. So that was fun. Just like I stopped, I found a gas station, and I filled the damn thing up, but it was like the way the reservoir looks. It's like this white canister with a black cap on it, right? And all the fluid was just spraying out from under this cap. And I found a shop that I could take it to, which was like 20 minutes north of Eau Claire. And at the time, I was 30 minutes south of Eau Claire. So I just filled it up, and that's just a spooky feeling. Is like trying to make it to the shop, knowing that my ability to steer is a ticking time bomb. But I made it. So
I lost. It's crazy that happened to you because I actually lost power steering. I don't know. Did I tell you how my car got fucked up like a couple weeks ago? I think I maybe just like briefly fucking mentioned like, oh, my car is like fucking up or whatever. And I was having that alternator issue where like the wires were burning because like this little plastic piece that kept like the grounding wires away from like the powered wires or whatever, like had gotten eroded, right? And so I would keep losing my alternator, and I would just pull over and I would just jam the fucking wires back in there. Then they would get all hot again and they'd burn off, and I just kept doing that. Finally, I had to fix it, and I was doing an oil change anyway, so I like hit up my neighbor. I'm like, "Can you come help me out with this?" And we pulled off the alternator. We put it back in. We tried out another one because we thought that was the issue. Turned out that there was just this little plastic piece missing. So he actually went home and like fashioned something because the dude's a wizard. Like he did, because we didn't have another one of these just little pieces that fit into where like the wires went on. He just made something up, fixed that all. Been going great. But I'm driving home the other day. And the alternator goes. So I'm like, fuck, our job, like, it didn't work out. You know, like, the wires, there's still something wrong with this. It's overheating. And I'm driving, and I'm realizing that, like, when I'm going, I can still steer the car. But when I slow down, there's, like, nothing. And where I live is coming down a downhill, and the turnoff is to the left, and then uphill on a fork in the road. So you come down this hill real fast, and you got to come right or left, especially with like how traffic is. Cut it up there, and then hit the turn, and then get back up the hill. Well, I'm slowing down, coming into my turn. Take the left. I got nothing there. You know, I got no fucking power steering or anything like going up. And again, I think it's just my alternator's out. Well, I had a reason that I really needed to get to town. And it, like, I open up the hood of my car. This is the second time this has happened recently, which I just find to be hilarious. So Jerry Seinfeld has the joke of, and I bring this joke up all the time, like, men open up the hood of a car and just think there's going to be, like, an on-off switch. You know, like, fix this. You know what I mean? And so, like, I open up the hood of my car. Like, I got to fix this right now. I need to get to town. And I literally see that the belt is hanging off. Oof. And which I actually knew how to fix, you know, which was like the coolest fucking thing ever. But I couldn't believe that I actually opened up my hood of my car, looked down, and went, oh, that's where the problem is. Because the belt that goes around the alternator also goes around the power steering pump, and that's why I lost my power steering.
But there is something very, going back to your point, there's something very gratifying, I guess, to open up the hood of a car and actually being able to identify and fix the problem. Because I mean, like, you and I, we're not wimps, but we're also not, you know, super handy, manly men all the time either. So it is nice when you get that opportunity.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, like, and my neighbor who would help me with the alternator and who I'd kind of seen, and what I did, I mean, I did nothing. All I did was take a couple bolts off for the shield, and then had to drop the alternator via like the tensioner thing that they have there, just so that the belt would slip back on. So this was not technical. This was like 4 bolts and a couple like turns, you know. But because I'm so not handy in that way, and I've never known about cars until I moved to Alaska and had to like, I shouldn't say had to learn about it, but I was around a lot more people working on these sorts of things. So all I had to do was like listen a little bit to learn a little bit here, a little bit there, you know, like, and so like when I was able to like do that myself, whereas, you know, back in the day, it's like straight to the shop, let them figure it out, you know, just to open that hood and like go, it was like opening a treasure chest. It really was, you know, like, oh my God, I know what to do. Are you fucking kidding me right now?
It's like a golden glow, like the Ark of the Covenant, just, I know how to do this.
This isn't going to cost you any money. Oh my God.
In other news, I woke up this morning kind of early, just for no reason. I just it was like 7 a.m. and I couldn't get back to sleep, so I'm trolling the news a little bit, and I see an article pop up. I got it here. It's on USA Today, but it's about Drake Bell, who I don't know if you know who that is. It's kind of more.
I looked him up because I don't know what the topic is, but you did tell me you wanted to talk about this guy. I didn't read the topic. I didn't do any of that, but I saw his face and I do recognize him. I'll put it that way.
So he was a Nickelodeon star back when I was a kid. He was on all that. I think in like the later seasons. He was also on like Amanda's show, and then later they had a show called Drake and Josh. But
that's where, like, not that I watched that show, but I'm pretty sure that's what I remember seeing his face was on that Disney show for sure. Yeah.
Nickelodeon.
No, I love that show. I watched it all the time in my mid-20s. I don't know why I had to clarify that I didn't watch it, but...
But I grew up as a fan. You know, I liked the Amanda Show and Drake and Josh. But so obviously, seeing his name pop up this way caught my eye. But the headline reads: Drake and Josh star Drake Bell indicted, pleads not guilty to charges involving a minor. And so the very
turned out it was a coal miner.
Not quite, but so. What happened was, just to give a very Reader's Digest version, he was accused of being somewhat abusive and sending like inappropriate sexual style messages to a 16-year-old. However, and the reason I wanted to bring this up is to highlight the importance of actually reading an article and not just the headline. Because when you get to the way, way bottom of the, like, they talk about all the stuff he's accused of and blah, 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 and like, he sent all this stuff to a 16-year-old, and he's currently 34. So, of course, by the headline, you think, oh, he's 34 and he's doing this to a 16-year-old. At the way, like, last paragraph of the article, it says, when this happened, this was in 2006, and he was 19 and in a relationship with a 16-year-old when this was happening. So I'm not saying that's not a little bit wiggity that he was 19 dating a 16-year-old, but it's way fucking different than if he was doing that at 34, sending this shit to a 16-year-old, and they were like technically in a relationship. I'm not trying to make excuses for him, but that headline is so fucking misleading to the point where, like, again, I don't know enough about what happened in his personal life or with this relationship to say one way or the other whether he's in the right or the wrong, but he also does say it, like it says quite at the bottom, like, that he's reviewing his legal options, he's denying the abuse allegations, and that they added the little caveat of a quote from him saying, like, well, she didn't have a problem talking to me as far as I knew fairly recently, because as of last year she was still hitting me up for money. So what does that tell you?
Well, it could say a lot of things. So first of all, is he in trouble for dating a 16-year-old, or is he in trouble for being abusive?
It sounds...
Because those are two very different things.
It sounds like they don't go into that much detail, but the main thing that they highlight is that he was sending sexually explicit messages over social media to a minor. But this is when he was 19 and she was 16. Now he's 34 and she's 31, and she's just now coming out with this.
Right. And okay, so I'm not asking for like defense here. I'm just like trying to lay out questions for like the legitimate answer based on your interpretation of the news story. So like, I don't need like, this is what I want, like just to lay out the facts here. Is he in trouble for being abusive, or is he in trouble for having a sexual relationship when he was 19 with a 16-year-old?
I think it's a little bit of both. And again, like, I don't want to full on come out as totally supporting him, because I don't know what, like, apparently all of these allegations that she put out were in a TikTok, which has since been deleted.